Oh, yamba yadai. I'm not, ya ba 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 ya da 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 ya da na ya da ya da ya da da ay 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 Boker Tov, good morning. Wisdom Wednesday is here on this kind of raw, yuck, gray day. It's good to be together. It's good to connect. It's good to learn. It's good to lift up tradition, and it's good to be with you. And so this morning's teaching, this morning's wisdom is in memory of Bonnie's Papa Sam, her grandfather. It's his yahrzeit, and so since we're not, reciting Kaddish or having morning prayer connection, we'll honor him by mentioning his yahrzeit as we teach today's Torah, teach today's wisdom. So in the 3-part teaching that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks, at least since we started reading Torah, or restarted the Torah reading, the annual cycle, has been 3 parts. We've been thinking about how we can take different elements within the Parsha and break them into 3 different pieces of learning. And so we're going to begin in this week's Parsha of Toldot. We're going to talk about digging the wells and voices and hands and reconciliation from a place of reclaiming spiritual nourishment, for aligning our inner truth, our inner truths with our outer actions, and from a place of healing and being able to bless again. So we begin this morning digging the wells, rediscovering our sources. This the idea of perseverance and kind of a steadfast practice. Like we're aware, we're holding on to, and we're continuing to go. So there's a quiet beauty in Parshat Toldot. One of the things is this subtle, quiet beauty of Isaac's story. He's often seen as the least dramatic of our patriarchs. And who are the patriarchs? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's not a wanderer like Abraham. He's not a wrestler like Jacob, Yaakov. But Toldot gives us a glimpse of Isaac's quiet strength, the perseverance that sustains this covenant, this agreement between generations. In this week's Parsha, after Abraham's death, Isaac finds himself redigging the wells that his father once dug, but that the Philistines had stopped up. It says, Isaac dug again the wells of water that had been dug in the days of his father Abraham, and he called them by the same names. At first, this might sound unremarkable, like who cares? A logistical detail about survival in the desert. But the rabbis hear something different, something deeper. Isaac is not just restoring an old well, he's reclaiming a source of life that had been buried. That was a well. It was stopped up by the Philistines, or the Philistines, as some of these documentaries say. It stopped up, meaning the history had been blotted out, had been smothered, right? It was, you know what? That's buried. We're done with that. Move forward. No, but rather, it was a restoration. Isaac reclaim the source of life that had been buried. And the Midrash says that in every generation wells must be dug again, anew. For the waters of faith and the waters of justice and the waters of compassion will always be at risk for being stopped up, but fear and forgetfulness and by the distractions of age. And so it is our job, as it is in every generation, to dig. Isaac's act. It's, tongue twister. Isaac's act becomes a metaphor for this spiritual perseverance. It's not about dramatic breakthrough, but it's about showing up faithfully again and again to clear away the dust that let something life-giving flow. There's something profoundly relevant here for this moment, for our moment. We live in an age, we've talked about this before, of noise, right? It's constant chatter in our brains. It is things like the information that is constantly being poured or thrown at us. It's the constant pressure. It's the endless speed. The world is going way too fast. The wells of spiritual nourishment, quiet, prayer, reflection, deep listening, get covered up by this clutter, the clutter of daily life, the noise of the speed of life. And like Isaac, we need to pause and pick up a shovel. Not to invent something new, but to reclaim what has always been ours. Isaac's wells symbolize continuity. He gives them the same name his father gave them, a gesture of honoring tradition. When I was deepening my learning and preparing for this week's teaching, I was thinking about the naming part. In Jewish tradition is to name after the deceased, to honor tradition. And it came exactly when I was reading this text, I thought to myself, hey, wait a minute. This is exactly this. He gave the same name as his father gave as a gesture of honoring tradition. Okay, he kept the exact name. But it is to name after so that the generation before doesn't go unnoticed, it doesn't go covered, it doesn't get buried away, but yet we bring a little bit of it forward into our time. And so there's a subtle balance. He redigs his father's wells, and then the text also says he found a new one. In other words, Isaac both restores and innovates. He honors the past, but also allows his own experience to bring forth something new. It's like when we name a child after someone, we know that whoever we're naming after, we take those attributes, we hope, and these are the hopes we have for this child, and yet the child is new life that comes with its own, everything it can be, bringing forth something new, honoring the past and allowing newness of experience, newness of what will come to be. And this is the task in every generation. And in truth, for every person of faith, is to inherit the wisdom of those before us and to keep it alive by making it our own. To draw from the ancient sources and to allow the discovery of new water that speaks to the thirst of our own time. Perseverance. Not like the kind of stubbornness that resists change, but the steady commitment to keep us connected to what is enduring and what is good. Perseverance is a daily act of tending to the well, returning to study and prayer and kindness or gratitude, even when the inspiration fades. It is the discipline of renewal. I can tell you that we have been live every day, sometimes twice a day, for years now. Since March 13th, 2020, before the world shut down. 2 days, a day and a half. There have been many days where the inspiration, this is true transparency, has faded. It is, some days harder to get on here and have something to teach, something to be, something to... But this is exactly why we're here. Because we need to tend to the well. Even when the inspiration isn't there. Why I changed it up to these different types of teachings. Because there's a discipline of renewal. There's an act, a daily act of tending to the well. That is the importance of bridging what was to what will be as we stand here in this moment. There's a beautiful teaching from Sifat Emet. He writes that the wells of our inner lives are our hearts. When we clear them of jealousy, of anger, of distraction, then Mayim Chayim, living waters, begin to rise on their own. The work isn't to create holiness, simply to remove what blocks it. So perhaps the call on this first day of our teaching 3-part segment, we question what wells in our own life have been stopped up. What habits or fears have buried our connection to the things that once gave you life? Or what might it look like to dig again, patiently, faithfully, until the water begins to flow? Isaac's greatness is quiet, but enduring. He teaches us that holiness is not always found in the climbing mountains or parting seas. Sometimes it's found in simply picking up a shovel and clearing away what has hardened and rediscovering the depth that was always there. May we have the perseverance to keep digging until the wells of our spirit flow freely once again. Beloved friends, thank you for joining me this morning. Bet, you're not in the pool? Amy, Suze, Linda, whoever else is here that hasn't checked in. It's a blessing to be with all of you. Let's continue to dig our wells. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you, and we look forward to seeing you back here again tomorrow morning. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Od Avinu Chai. Have a great day, everyone.